Hello and welcome to Common Sense with OVB. Today's guest we're going to have on is Shelly Boothe. She's a commercial loan officer with Ohio Valley Bank. And on this show we're going to explore different aspects of the banking world. Shelly has seen both sides of the business as far as loaning people money for business and running their own small business. So welcome to the show, Shelly.
Thank you very much.
Can you give me a little bit of your background, how you got into banking and your small business?
Okay. How I got into banking was kind of on accident. At the time I finished college, I had a social work degree, but wasn't able to find anything in that field right off, so I applied at the bank so I could quit my job in fast food.
Do you think you're a little bit of a social worker being in banking?
A little bit. It has come in handy more often than you know.
Yeah.
So I started on at the bank as a teller. From there I went to be a customer service rep where I opened new accounts and helped people with their bank accounts. Kind of fell in love with banking from that point, so I stuck around. They can't get rid of me now, so they just keep giving me different things to do. So I went from that to running a branch, did that for a couple of years, started getting into loans, went full-time into loans about 12 years ago, and I've been on the retail side of loans since then, home loans, car loans, that kind of thing, and just recently made the transition to business loans and doing commercial lending.
And your small business.
Yeah, my husband and I bought a gas station convenience store about 6 years ago. So we've kind of been on that other side of what it's like to buy a business and went into that absolutely knowing nothing about what we were getting into, both good and bad. So we had to go through getting some financing and trying to figure out what we were going to need to keep the business running. And so I've had a little bit of a view from both ends of that.
So you didn't know anything about, running a gas station. Why did you buy
Not
a gas
thing.
station? Good deal or?
Different reasons. At the time, my husband was working out of town, driving to Columbus and back, and that gets old pretty fast.
Yeah.
He did it for 15 years, and so
wow.
we were looking for something to get him home, and small kids at the time, and the station we bought was about a mile from our house.
Okay.
So the opportunity presented itself, and he's probably a lot braver than I am when it comes to that, so he was all in, let's do it, and after months of talking me into it, we did it.
So how long did it take, the learning curve, how long did it take till you're comfortable?
I'm still not there. It gets easier. There's still things that come up that we've never had to deal with, so we just figure it out.
Yeah.
Contacts are probably the biggest thing. We've made some really good friends in the industry who've helped us tremendously on how to fix things and who to call, and I have this in my business, this could help you, why don't you look into that? And so that's been our biggest asset probably.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the hurdles that you had to figure out? Like there's cash flow and other things about running a business.
Yeah, there's just a lot of cost associated with running the business that you don't see or you don't know about. Mm-hmm. The people that we bought our station from were very, very kind. They shared their books that they kept with us for years, and they shared that with us, so we kind of had an idea. But there are, insurances and inspections and, costs for the mats to be cleaned in the floor. I mean, there's just so many costs that you...
A lot of regulations?
Yeah, we have one insurance alone that is in case we blow up the whole city, which luckily has not happened yet, but we are covered if that does happen.
Okay. All right. With going from different places in the bank, lending for, car loans and stuff, mm-hmm. What's different about loaning for business?
It's a lot different. Generally on the retail side, if it's a car loan or something like that, we get tax returns, but we look at those on a very basic level. We're looking at your wages for that year, and we look at a pay stub. We figure in your monthly bills and what you have left to spend on a car or a home. The commercial side is much more detailed. We do a full analysis on tax returns for business owners. It's very, very detailed. We have 2 analysts that work for us that are incredibly intelligent, that take those numbers, spread them apart, add in depreciation when they can, and do all those calculations for us. So we have someone with a very high level of understanding of those kinds of returns that help us in making our decisions and what we feel like the customer can handle. Sometimes it's much more than, our ultimate goal is always to give the customer what they want, but we also try to give them what they need, and sometimes those 2 things may not be the same.
Right. You ever get one that's like, this is not a real good business idea?
Yeah. Maybe not the idea itself. Probably more often is that the idea is good, but they maybe haven't done enough research and don't know fully what they're getting into. So we try to encourage them to talk to other owners in that same type of business to get a feel of what it actually takes to run that, just like those hidden costs that we talked about. Those are things that sometimes don't show on paper anywhere. So if you can talk to other people who've been in that business, it's very helpful. So I don't know that we've had a lot of bad ideas. We've had good people with good ideas that just need to do a little bit more research before they jump in both feet.
Right. What other type of commercial loans would there be? Starting a brand new business, like you're taking over a business, or there's an expansion. What all type?
We do all kinds of things. We've done loans for $1 million hotels to build brand new. We've done loans for businesses who own those types of buildings that want to renovate. So we've done lines of credit if they want to remodel. Maybe it's a smaller type business. We have a lot of excavating, logging, that kind of thing, where they need to buy equipment. So we can finance the equipment. We can do an operating line of credit if they need to finance a specific project. We will look at any and all reasonable requests. Sometimes it takes a little bit of creativity to come up with the best thing that suits them and still keeps us within the regulations.
So if you were, are there different things that a business owner should bring to support his case? Maybe it's different for startups versus expansions and all that type of thing. What do we need to bring?
There are some differences, but for the most part it's the same. The more you can bring, the better. There is a hesitancy sometimes to share everything. The more that we have, the more history we have on the business, the better we are capable of looking into all the options.
Because if you're lending people money, you kind of become a partner.
We do, and we like to think of it that way. We want to see you succeed. We don't ever want to put you in a position where we're adding to any kind of a hardship. We don't like to say no, but sometimes it's in the best interest. But as far as bringing things, tax returns, profit and loss statements, income expenses, all of those things, it may seem sometimes that we ask for a lot, and there can be some frustration with that. But it's really in your best interest to provide all those things so that we can find the best option that suits your request.
How about business plans?
Business plans for startup are very valuable, not only for us to look at projections on what kind of money you can make, but also for the person who's considering going into that business. A lot of our customers have learned very valuable things about the business that they're considering by sitting down to do a business plan. They've uncovered things that they hadn't thought about before, so it's a very good tool.
Now, do you consult with people with their business plans or help them create them, or do you expect that to be done? Usually
they have those. We have had a few that wanted to do that and kind of didn't know where to start, so we have some contacts that we can help set them up with the OSU Extension Office and different things that will help them write those plans and help educate them on different things that will be useful to them.
Okay. Is there any other help that somebody can get, like grants, or can you help and direct them towards these things, or are they even available?
There are some grants available. The bank takes a very cautious input on that. We are more than happy when people get grant money, anything that will help start up a functioning business in our town. is good for everybody. We don't, we're not connected with those grants directly, so they need to kind of do that research and do some of that
So you
planning on
won't
their own.
connect those dots for them. Do they come in usually aware and have done all that research themselves? By the time they get to you and you're the last stop, it's like, well, I can't get the free money. So I got
Not necessarily. For community banks like ours, generally there's already a relationship there. Our customers that we see are generally not customers that we've only seen one time. Especially in my experience, I may have financed their home a couple of years ago, or I may have financed a car for them, and now they're considering a business, so they know me and they know my face. They know they can trust me. They know I have their best interests at heart. So they come in sometimes as the first stop because they feel comfortable with us, they trust us, and they know that we want the best for them.
I just forgot where I was going to go, but okay. So the grants, shoot, can't remember where I was going with that. Operating expenses, is there loans to cover that, or what do you say when maybe there are certain dry times in a business whenever things are slow?
Right. We do operating lines of credit that are sometimes best for that. Those are typically, you don't pay unless you owe something on it. So those are a good tool to use for things like that when your business is really, really busy, summertime, and maybe your business does something outside, asphalt or something to that effect. You may have a much higher income in your business during those months, and then maybe it drops off in the winter when the weather is cold and the temperatures are low. So lines of credit can help balance that out. You've got something to draw on when business is a little lower, but don't need it in other months. Those are helpful because you only pay on the amount of money that you've drawn. So use it when you need it, pay it back, and then it's out there available to you, but you're not making a payment every month on that higher amount.
Okay, so it's not a thing where you wouldn't have to pay a payment during the slow times.
If you would, it would be on the residual amount that you that you drew several months ago, and sometimes it's as little as interest only. Some of our customers opt to pay a higher amount just to get that balance reduced quicker.
And that's all short-term stuff?
They're revolving lines, so we've got some that are, have no maturity date, so they revolve until you don't need them anymore, and then we close them off. Some of them are short terms, 6 or 8 months, a year, somewhere in there. Depends on your need.
Do you work with all people that are trying to attract businesses? Is there special deals for new businesses in the area?
I have not
Or is
had
that more
hat.
of a tax thing?
Maybe. I've not had a lot of experience in that. Maybe that will come up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we have different offices, like Chamber of Commerce and different things that work to attract people to this area. I wasn't sure if you worked hand in hand with those.
We try to go to their events, the Chamber events, partly to support our customers that we finance. If their business is opening up, we want to be there to show our support. So we usually attend those. And obviously we work with the Chamber. We don't expect them to advertise for us or say, hey, why don't you go here versus there. We're all out to support the buyer and hope that they do well.
Is there any other services that the bank can offer a business owner?
Endless. Our internet banking has multiple tools that you can use. It's been very helpful for our business owners, so they can keep track of the balance in their account, the balance on their loans. Sometimes it allows them to transfer money back and forth between the two. We also offer like merchant services, so if it's a new bakery per se and they want to be able to accept debit and credit cards, we can set them up with a program that will help them do that.
Is that where you rent the little machine? Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how that's different from, I've got a small business, I use the little square reader on the phone.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar service, or?
We don't do the Square that I know of, mostly just the machines.
Okay.
But we help get them in contact with those people that can look at how much business they think they're going to run or how many transactions, and try to set them up with the most cost-effective
What's usually the
option.
breaking point to get a machine?
It just depends on what your business is and how many transactions and how much each dollar amount of those transactions are going to be. It's kind of all over the board.
So there's probably a charge, like the Square does have a charge too. There's a charge for every transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, other services? I kind of interrupted you there.
That's okay. It all kind of goes hand in hand. Obviously, if you're there to get a loan, we're trying to look at your business as a whole. So sometimes we'll end up getting you set up with a business checking account. So we'll do that.
What's different about the business checking compared to your personal checking?
Obviously, we expect a higher amount of transactions to go through there. We have different kinds of accounts depending on how many transactions you think you will run. So we try to put you in the one that's most cost effective. We try to see other tools that might help you. We've got different business services. Tony Staley, I think, has been on the show before, and he kind of handles that. And he can look at your business, and all kinds of flags go off on things that we have that we can help set up that will make things easier for you on a daily basis. A lot of our business customers also have regular jobs outside of their business, so
Right.
any of those things that can make it easier to do banking from home or mobily come in quite handy.
Are there restrictions that you can't do with a commercial type of a banking account?
There are some, mostly on the loan side of that, as far as transferring money and who's allowed to transfer it. We have to look at the resolution, where on a personal account it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're on the account, you can do everything.
Yeah.
The business account's driven more by the resolution that's on file.
Do you suggest people have, when they come in for a loan, it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe you should be incorporated first, or have a different setup, or
No,
that's on them?
That's really a conversation they should have with their attorney or their CPA. We're not at liberty to direct them on that kind of business. Now, we will get questions from time to time, but most of that is in regards to what kind of taxes they'll pay and what kind of liabilities they have. So most of that is done between them and their attorney.
Mm-hmm. Why do some businesses fail? Or where have you seen people go wrong? What good advice could you give a business owner? It's like, watch out, don't do this.
On the initial, on the beginning of that, I guess I should say, is just to do your research. Like I said, there are a lot of good ideas and a lot of good businesses that have failed. It's not because it was a bad business. Look at the area we're in, the demographics. Is there a need for that in this area?
Sometimes it's only the location, I think.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
I think that's true. Competition, if you're about to open a business, it's, a pizza place and there are 20 other ones within a couple of blocks, it's going to be difficult. You've got to have a product that's, way above the others in order to succeed. So, I don't know that there are a lot of bad ideas. It's just there's a lot of other factors that cause
the
them to
management
fail.
side of things, not necessarily the idea of
Yeah,
it.
it's easy to let things get away from you.
Probably not keeping records.
Yeah. A lot of times there are so many things coming at you. This bill needs paid on this day, and this guy just delivered this, and I got to pay him, and you're just writing checks. And then when you sit down to balance everything, or your loan payment comes due, you realize that, gosh, you've spent a lot more this month than you meant to.
Yeah.
So tracking is a big thing. If you can, set up a spreadsheet or something that helps you keep track of that on a daily basis, especially until you kind of get the hang of what to expect each month. That's really, really helpful, because it is very easy to kind of lose track of what you've spent and what you've brought in, and there may be one side of that that's completely off balance.
I know cash flow here at the college is, kind of tricky, because you get students in the fall and then the spring, and a couple times in the summer, and that's just basically the only influx you get. So then you just gotta sit on it and don't spend it all on one time.
Yeah, the tracking is helpful, and the other thing I would probably suggest is to review that annually. If you, as a business owner, for instance, my husband and I, we have a company that comes in and cleans our mats. We have a company that delivers bread. We have obviously our gas company that delivers that. But then we have the normal stuff that every person would have: your AT&T bill, your electric bill, your water bill, all of those things. Review those annually. If you can shop around, get better deals, keep an eye on your costs, and don't be content to just stay with the one company that you've always stayed with. There is something to be said for loyalty. So if you're with a company that you trust and they're giving you good service and it's a reasonable rate, by all means stay with them. But keep track of that. What is the going rate for that kind of service, and constantly be open to looking at other companies to save yourself money.
Mm-hmm. Well, getting back to maybe your business, are there other things that you could, or advice you can give somebody about running a business like that, and any of the gotchas? Or
our biggest asset probably at our store is our employees. They work extremely hard, and they're trustworthy. My husband and I luckily do not have to run a shift. Generally, we do a lot of the back end stuff.
Is it 24 hours or not?
It is not.
Okay.
No, don't suggest that. They would hate you. But
I did work at a gas station 24-hour deal, and that was the worst 2 weeks I ever
really?
worked.
That's a short one. Yeah, it's peace of mind for us that our business is running on a daily basis and that we don't have to worry about what's going on in the store when we're not there. We are very blessed to have people that work hard, that we can trust, that know what they're doing and take good care of their customers, which are our customers.
That means a lot. If you can get employees that feel like they are part of it and own, have a little ownership, or at least they think they...
Yeah, we're located in a small town, so everyone who comes in there is someone's brother or cousin or son or daughter, and you see them at a ball game, or you see them at the bank, or you see them somewhere, and so we're all kind of a little family, and they have a part of a service that's provided there. I mean, we're the only store in that town, so I feel like we're kind of a vital piece of its success too, just like the bank can be.
So you're more of a store or more of a gas station?
Both.
About equal?
Yeah, we have, a couple pumps, and then we do pizza and hamburgers, and then there's, stuff on the shelves, cereal, milk, eggs, all the basic stuff. So it's just kind of if you don't want to drive to town and you live within a couple miles, run up there and get what you need and say hi to your buddy. And
was there something you changed, or did you just keep on doing what they were doing before?
We changed a lot. The people that we bought it from, we're doing fine. My husband has a little bit more of he gets a little more of a kick out of finding a good deal, so he's constantly out looking for things that he can stock the store with. Okay.
Not necessarily on the gas side of it in prices, because is that
stuff
controlled, or?
The gas we don't have a lot of control over. We have a contract with the company, and they base it on the price per barrel, and we order when we think is, we order typically on the same day every week, and it's delivered so many days later. And we don't make anything off gas. It's there because it's needed in the community, but we don't make anything off it. It's just a service that we provide. Our income comes from the other items.
So what did you add? How did you change that?
Oh, tons and tons of stock. We added bait, so you could go fishing. If you need some bait to go fishing, that's up there now. We broadened our deli selections a little bit, so high school kids that are on break can come in there and get lunch. We started a program
Can
where
they leave the school halfway through?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We do a box lunch for after-school sports sometimes. So if they're on an away game and they're about to get on the bus, they can call ahead and do so many box lunches and pick those up, take them with them. So we just constantly look for new things that we can provide that serves our community.
I was thinking how you discover those opportunities, whether they ask you, like, do you have this?
We're very involved in our community. Of course, I see a lot of those customers at my job at the bank. My husband works for the school system, so he knows a lot of those people there. We have friends who play on the same ball teams. We're just very, very close-knit, and so when we hear people talking about, oh, I wish you had this, or I wish you had that, we'll look into it. If we can do it and be cost-effective at it, we'll add it.
Do you deliver?
We don't deliver. We don't have drivers. We run a small shift, usually a couple of people, so we can't really let them go and deliver. There's a little bit of a safety issue there too. I don't
Yeah.
want my girls to be in a position where they don't feel safe. So, nope, you have to come get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure with the team stuff. The bus would just drive by and you.
Yeah,
Here you
usually
go.
one of the coordinators will come get it.
How about safety? How do you address safety?
At the store,
Has there ever been an issue or
we've had
and
a few minor
shoplifting
things.
and that kind of thing?
We have a little bit of that. You'll find some packages that are empty, and whatever was inside is gone. We do our best to monitor that. We have video and cameras, that kind of thing, alarms. It's not foolproof.
Right.
Nothing is.
And the safety thing is the same with the cameras. And
Yeah.
You have training as
We
far
do.
as that?
We had food safety training that they have to go through, and then of course, regular safety training as far as being there alone and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Okay, last couple minutes. Is there any other advice you can give a business owner or prospect?
Just be transparent. Don't try to hide anything. If you're in trouble, tell us you're in trouble. That's the only way that we can truly help you. If you're considering going into some sort of a business and you have concerns, share with us what those concerns are, so that we can try to help you. Do your research, be prepared, stay on top of everything that's going on in your business, and stay in touch with us. If things start going downhill and you've got some concerns, call and talk to us. We are your lender, but we're also, part of the team. We want your bank, we want your company to succeed. So, just stay in contact with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bank is your friend and not the IRS.
That's right. That's right.
It's a different relationship.
Yes.
So you're out for their best interest.
Yes.
I guess that's all we have for right now. So thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
And we're doing this every month, I think. So stay tuned next month for the next guest. I guess we know what the guest is. So thanks for watching Common Sense.